I don't care what anyone says, As Dusk Falls is the most underrated game of the year. Why? Simple. It's an interactive drama with multiplayer. This means that you and your friends can vote on decisions together, but also you have the ability to override one another, resulting in an absolute bloodbath of name calling not seen since Call of Duty 4 lobbies, and that's what makes it great. So sit back, relax, and watch my friends and I forever alter our friendships while playing this absolute blast of a game. Thank you and hope you enjoy. Our adventure starts on May 29th, 1998 at a truck stop on Route 66 in Arizona, where we decide it's appropriate for Vince Walker, the father of the family, to immediately betray the trust of his 6-year-old daughter Zoe by cheating in a discount version of I Spy.
Shoot.
How many stars are on my backpack?
Does anybody know?
Dude, obviously, no, we're not peeking. No, dude, we're breaking her trust already. Fuck. I was gonna say 6. It's 6. It's 6. The answer is 6. It's 6. It's 6. I promise you, I counted.
I'm trying to count.
Is it 6?
Oh my god.
You cheated!
Me? I would never.
Saw
Dude, we already
What's
got
the
the
matter?
bad ending.
Are you okay,
What?
Lovebug?
Daddy's 30 years older and he's
After receiving third-degree burns from our daughter, we continue to drive the family to St. Louis while navigating some tense interactions with our wife Michelle, who is completely out of our league, and fighting the urge to abandon our deadbeat father Jim on the side of the road.
Vince was a good kid, but he always did let people walk all over him.
I'm
When he
about
was
to
small,
kick
he would
Grandpa out of
ask
the
me
car.
to say,
You see, aside from his dog Zeus, Grandpa Jim has no redeemable qualities. Not only did he abandon Vince during his teenage angst years, causing him enough trauma for him to look like this,
Does our guy like cook meth or what?
but he also forced us to take the scenic route for this trip and mocks Vince for his new job at a pet food business because he— oh my god, what the hell was that? Oh my god, oh my god. Swipe,
God.
swipe!
Oh, we did it! We did it! We
Did
saved
it?
it!
Oh god.
Actually swipe.
Mash!
I'm mashing!
So good.
Oh my fucking
Dude.
lord.
Wow, we literally avoided the bad ending.
You guys, good on us, alright?
Yeah.
Turns out we got sideswiped by some bad apples who definitely won't be relevant to the story moving forward. Luckily, no one was hurt, but with the damaged car beyond repair and the other car having fled the scene, the family is forced to waddle their way to a sketchy motel that Grandpa Jim has clearly visited with a few madams of the night back in the day. Arriving at the motel, we proceed to meet Joyce while checking in and notice that she too is a fine maiden. Knowing that our relationship with our wife is in turmoil, we set our sights on Joyce being our new waifu and attempt to court her, which immediately fails after my friends assume that because she's a woman, she cannot be the manager. Please.
Are we Karen or are we like...
Please. No, I want please.
Oh, let's
How do we override?
Talk to the man.
How do we override?
Sure we can
And
find
what
him.
makes you think you're not talking to her?
I'm saying you,
My bad. I just.
you presumptuous fucking sexist prick.
Dude, it was the funniest.
Uh-oh.
After getting settled into our room, Grandpa Jim pulls Vince aside and asks us to let him stay with the family once we get to St. Louis like the dying mutt he is. However, we promptly tell him to get bent and that we're putting him in the kill shelter the moment we arrive. We then go back to the lobby of the motel, and as this is good old America, land of the free, we immediately get guns drawn on us, punched in the stomach, and find ourselves in the middle of a hostage situation. In a plot twist not seen since M. Night Shyamalan's The Sixth Sense, the guys who sideswiped us earlier ended up being the ones who took us hostage, as they were fleeing the cops following a botched robbery at the sheriff's home. Why were they robbing the sheriff's home, you ask? Only time will tell. The three perpetrators end up being Tyler, Dale, and Jay Holt, the Black Sheep family of Two Rock, Arizona. After a quick dispute in which Joyce pulls a gun on them because, again, Murica, she quickly gets punched in the gut, and we get our first glimpse at the infighting to come between my friends and I when trying to decide the best course of action.
You're just like your daddy.
Dude, she
Another
wilded.
fucked up Holt thinks the world's his to break.
What, like this?
The dog's getting a fucking slug in it. You're upsetting Zeus!
Say nothing, dude. Fuck this. I don't fucking. Dude, they
Yeah.
can just deal with it.
Say
Fuck
nothing?
that.
Oh my god, you guys are such cocks.
See, I'm not-
Look at this.
Now, he's a dog. He doesn't have an
Despite being scared of confrontation up until this point, we decided to go against Dale's wishes of tying up Joyce because we felt that rope play would have been too much too fast at this point in our budding relationship. Unfortunately, Dale strongly disagreed and proceeded to knock us out cold until the evening for disobeying him. When we wake up, Tyler asks us who else we are traveling with since our car has a lot of baggage for just Jim and Vince, to which we promptly respond with no one because we obviously aren't going to implicate our family, especially with divorce on the horizon. Then, out of nowhere, a cop named Big Sam arrives on scene for his daily visit and throws the whole hostage situation through a loop since the cops hadn't located the Holt family up until that point. After moving Joyce to the back and telling us to play it cool, Big Sam comes in and begins interrogating us like the nosy prick he is, and we stick to our story of us traveling as a duo, but also say that we're traveling to Mexico City because we're dumb Canadians who don't know that Mexico City is not a place to be as a tourist. Just as we think we got Big Sam off our back, soon-to-be ex-wife Michelle and Zoe burst through the doors and our ruse is officially up. Big Sam then notices Joyce's earring on the floor from when she was punched earlier and calls in suspicious activity at the motel, resulting in his untimely death as Tyler shorties him point blank like he's on an eco round. Tyler then proceeds to unjustly accuse us of being a rat, which is a bit odd since our one rule for the playthrough was not to trust cops.
Okay, so we don't trust cops, right? Like, that's the right decision.
The
We
Popo,
don't trust anybody because anyone could be a cop. You never know. There could
Oh,
be an
that's
undercover
true.
cop too.
As a result, we take exception to what Tyler says and a scuffle ensues. Vince manages to get the sawed off and pointed at Tyler, however we soon find out that Dale has a gun pointed at Michelle. Now, while the rational thing would be to lower the weapon and prevent our wife from getting shot, the constant thought of the looming divorce was too great for myself and I decided to override the decision and make Vince shoot Tyler at the risk of Michelle dying and causing Zoe to suffer PTSD.
Is this where we shoot him? Oh my god.
Zoe, close your eyes.
Our wife is dead. You literally killed our wife.
I'm fucking okay with that. Unfortunately for Vince though, there weren't any shells in the gun and Tyler and I clearly have months of therapy in our future. However, before our sessions could start, the police roll up with Dante Romero, the sheriff who was robbed earlier, leading the way. Shortly after the police arrive, we soon find ourselves thrown in the back room with Big Sam's rotting corpse for telling a really good joke during this tense situation.
Calmly defy him.
Wait,
Crack
crack.
I know we're gonna shoot
Hey
you.
guys, what do bank robbers eat for dessert?
I go there
Ice
38
cream.
seconds ago.
You get it?
You're an idiot. You know that? I mean, it was kind of funny.
Oh,
See?
dude,
He
it
gets
kind of
it.
worked.
You just don't have a sense of humor.
Oh no, wait, no.
That's it. Into the back.
However, this was all part of our plan, and we proceed to break loose of our restraints and call the sheriff to tell him that the Holt brothers are behind this and that Tyler killed Big Sam. Dante proceeds to tell us they'll be sending in a team soon, and then Tyler bursts in, sees us on the phone, and with a gun to our jaw, we tell him that we told Dante everything as Vince has nothing to lose at this point. Tyler angrily storms off after suggesting that Dante isn't exactly a good guy and that we don't know who we're dealing with. We then get a flashback providing some context to Vince's job situation. Apparently, Vince was a plane mechanic and an engine failure occurred that left several people injured and someone dead due to the airline he worked for cutting corners. In turn, the airline tried to blame Vince and offer him $10,000 as essentially hush money. The flashback then moves nearly a year forward in time to Vince packing up for the move to St. Louis. With only several hours before his wife and daughter return home with food, Vince needs to tidy the place up and pack, so naturally, we decide to instead go outside on the balcony, check the weather, fix the air conditioning unit, and make chocolate pudding. Michelle and Zoe then come home with Chinese food, and Michelle quickly notices the mess that we left and looks at us like we just kicked her dog. After putting Zoe to bed, we see that our wife has a message from someone. Assuming that it's the moving company confirming the time they'll arrive the following day, Vince looks at her phone to see a message from a guy named Bruce, and from that moment, we knew Michelle was a cheating dog. Now, we knew we wanted to address the Bruce situation with Michelle, but Kyle wanted to go in guns a-blazing. However, Ben and I were the voices of reason and overrid his override and prevented him from asking Michelle straight up who Bruce was. Shortly after, despite knowing Bruce was on the line, we opted against taking the phone away from Michelle and remained pretty tactful about the whole situation until we decided to eventually cut the shit and ask our wife if she liked another guy. However, Michelle tried to skirt around the issue by getting us drunk, which all but confirmed her treachery. After refusing to drink because we had to stay strong for this conversation, Vince outs Michelle for her late nights and her coming back smelling like wine and perfume. When Michelle asks us to drop it once more, we push on, not for us, but for Vince, because he deserves better. And just like the snake she is, Michelle folds immediately.
Of course not.
So what's the problem? What's the matter?
It was a mistake.
Oh my god! You fucking bitch!
We actually picked the right one.
Oh my god.
See, there's no way he just calls her Cupcake.
When did it start? When did it start? No, when did it start?
Yeah,
No,
yeah, no, we
don't,
just-
you don't ask, was
I
it?
had an override. I had an override. God damn it, I need more.
Michelle proceeds to provide us with a timeline of events and blames Vince's depression after losing his job for why she did what she did because she felt unloved. However, we were having none of it. Eventually, it got to the point where Michelle asked us to sit down and discuss, and we couldn't agree on the next course of action, so we let fate decide.
Will you at least sit down so we can talk this through?
No.
Would you give her a chance? Or would you kiss her? What?
Yes. Oh,
Or break glass?
yeah,
No,
break
No,
what?
no,
Break glass.
sit-
Leave,
sit-
leave.
No, sit and talk, sit and talk.
No, leave.
RJ's
Oh.
so much anger.
Okay, we're RNGing it, RNGing it.
RNG, alright. Sit talk. No fucking way! Really?
Fuck you.
No! Yeah, I deserve a slap!
You never speak to me like that. Ever.
You guys are forgetting
Where are
that
you
we literally
going?
tried to shoot a man.
Oh,
like
that's
2
it.
minutes
Walk
ago.
out.
Following the dramatic flashback, we then return to the motel where Vince is now alone in the room with Sammy Boy still taking a $5 in the corner. We manage to break out of the room and somehow slither our way upstairs like the modern day Pink Panther Vince is to find Zoe being consoled by Jay in a room. At this point, we can tell Jay is a pretty nice guy wrapped up in a pretty bad situation. But despite my desire to tell him that the police are coming, my friends opt to tell him nothing, which I'm sure won't have any ramifications down the line. Channeling our inner James Bond, we proceed to sneak back downstairs and untie the hostages just in time for the police to show up and a firefight to ensue. Jim, the mad lad, wants us to run through the crossfire for the exit, but after refusing, he decides to leave us behind and Usain Bolt it for the exit at roughly 2 kilometers an hour just to get deservedly smacked in the head. Despite everybody in the room hoping he was dead, Jim sadly managed to live. After the police retreat, Tyler starts making demands to Dante over the phone, requesting a helicopter, safe passage to Mexico, and a fresh pizza in under 30 minutes or it's free. Dante agrees on the condition that the Holtz must release one of the hostages. The brothers let us choose who goes, and we have to decide between an old man with a potentially fatal brain injury if he doesn't get medical attention right away, and our daughter Zoe. So naturally, we pick Zoe. After escorting Zoe outside and telling her grandpa is going to die because of her, Dante slips a two-way pager into the napkins for Vince to use and give intel of the hostage situation. Upon our return, Dante immediately slides into our DMs like we're some famous TikTok model and tells us to look for a black book that the Holt boys supposedly stole. Despite his veiled threats, we play hard to get because our motto is and continues to be, don't trust cops.
I don't know.
Nah.
Are you serious?
Because you want to live. Go search your stuff, man. I want to live.
No,
That's why I'm
you
not
can't
searching
have
your
it.
stuff.
That's fucked up, dude.
Dude,
What
we
did
should.
I tell you guys about working with the police? We don't work with the cops.
Dude, we gotta still stand by that. Dante then requests an in-person meeting with one of the Holts to discuss why they robbed his house, and Dale proceeds to go out to talk with him with Vince as his hostage. Dante questions Dale about the mysterious black book, which Dale has no idea what he's talking about since they were just there for money, but Dante isn't convinced and a sniper aims down his sights to shoot Dale. Vince then notices the red dot on his forehead, and we're forced to decide between either warning Dale or letting him get shot.
Fuck this guy. Dude, we're getting out. No.
I'm warning him. Warn him. Dude, don't trust cops. Don't trust cops. Warn him, Kyle. Warn him.
Oh, actually, you're right. You're right.
Don't trust cops.
Wait,
Don't trust cops.
No.
Don't you fucking dare. No, come on.
But, like, I don't stop them from shooting them.
Yeah, you're... Oh, no.
We actually probably should have warned them. The hostages are gonna get it.
That's what I'm saying, dude. And your daughter.
You fucking murderer!
So just a quick recap here. Not only did my friends help the cops despite us saying not even 2 minutes earlier that we don't help cops, but they let our daughter see yet another person get shot and sparked yet another gunfight. Needless to say, at this point I had no hopes of us getting the good ending, but I also had no option other than to deal with my friend's shitty decision making from this point onward. Back to the story, during the gunfight, Vince and Dante take cover behind a car, and despite having another hostage out safely, Dante demands Vince go back in and retrieve the mysterious black book, solidifying his status as a big wanker who is clearly doing some shady business on the side. Upon returning to the active hostage situation, Tyler quickly questions why the hell Vince came back, which is a totally fair question in reality, but Joy steps in to confront Tyler and blame him for Dale's death like the honorable wife-to-be that she is.
Hey! This isn't his fault. You're the one in charge,
Yeah, we didn't
Tyler.
do anything.
You're the one
Oh
who
my
let your brother
god.
go out there.
Cannot believe you guys
You
let
wanna blame
Dale get
someone?
killed like that.
We
Take a look in
have
the
to.
fucking-
No, I thought it was just.
You guys got her killed! This is on you!
We died.
Things are happening.
You got Joyce killed, you fucks!
Okay.
This is on you
Oh,
guys.
we died. Okay.
R.I.P. best girl.
You guys got Joyce
Oh,
killed,
fuck that.
and she was her fucking backup. You fucked up. Admit it.
I fucking hate this game.
In response to Joyce's sudden passing, Dante sends his warm condolences by promptly telling Vince that he needs to find the book or else more people will die, like the loving sheriff he is. Just when things couldn't get any wilder, Sharon Holt, the mother of the Holt brothers, arrives on scene and somehow convinces Dante to let her into the motel to talk to her kids. As Sharon tries to get her boys to let her in, we casually see Jim put on an expert disguise in the form of a black hat, suggesting he clearly knows Sharon and reaffirming the fact that Jim has ties to this place. Upon learning about Dale's death, Sharon and Vince have a mini heart-to-heart about family, which is enough to convince us to throw Dante under the bus. We tell the Holts about the pager and Dante's obsession with the mysterious black book, and then Sharon calls Dante demanding that a bus be delivered instead of a helicopter. Dante obliges because if this hostage situation goes any longer, the FBI will get involved, and that is the last thing he wants given his shady deals. We then are given another flashback where we get a bit of insight on the Holt's family situation. The Holt brothers are fixing up the family barn and decide to take a break by huffing glue as one does, and their father named Bear catches them lacking and decides the only appropriate course of action is to beat some sense into them. Sharon then interrupts and asks what's going on, but since we're playing as Jay, who has the spine of a jellyfish, we say nothing and tell her all about our lovely dead rabbits. We proceed to go fix the family some cold drinks in the house, but when we get inside, some scummy looking mobster from The Godfather welcomes us. Turns out not only is Bear a questionable father figure, but he also partakes in slicker roleplay and owes quite a bit of money from his gambling addiction. When the grifter asks for Bear's watch as a form of payment, we stand our ground and tell him to go pound sand. He then forcibly tries to steal it, but we hold our own until Papa Bear comes in and throws him out the door. After watching the mobster drive away with his tail between his legs, Bear tells us to keep the watch and that he's proud of us, making our day as we know there is nothing more meaningful than a father's praise, especially when that father almost got us killed due to his gambling addiction. As a reward for showing us any sort of positive reinforcement for the first time in our lives, we decide to immediately sewer Bear and rat him out to Sharon about his gambling debt, to which Bear does the only thing he can do and walks away from his problems. Later that evening, we're woken up in the dead of the night by an injured Bear telling us we need to help him and drive him to the hospital. On the road, Bear opens up a bit about his and Sharon's tumultuous relationship as well as his addiction. All of a sudden, Bear tells us to turn off onto a dirt road and we pull over at a place you'd expect young couples to do the dirty. Fortunately for us though, this story isn't set in Alabama, and instead Bear just wants us to dispose of the mobster's dead body like the loving father he is. Despite being skeptical of our father's justification for murder, Jay still helps drag the mobster's body to his burial site and begins looting his corpse for some cash. We then take the shovel, start digging a hole that's far too shallow, and yeet the guy's body in there like a sack of potatoes. Jay starts tossing dirt on the mobster's body, and then the worst thing happens. I told you. I told you.
Please, help. Help me. Please.
Bury him. Do it, Jay.
Absolutely not.
Do it, Jay.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely not.
Family. For the
No.
family, boys.
Oh boy, refuse to plead.
Refuse.
Obey, obey, obey!
He's not someone to obey, bro.
Ben, it's time.
we
You gotta
thought
bury
he
him.
was
You gotta
dead.
bury him.
Once again, as the agent of chaos, Kyle wanted to commit murder for the family, but cooler heads prevailed and we fought off Bear, who at this point was trying to kill the guy himself, and the man in the hole eventually escaped. The next morning, Bear comes to us with beers in hand and discusses what happened the night prior and explains he understands why we did what we did. Bear then ominously mentions that mobsters won't stop until they get his blood, and then says he believes the family will forgive him one day before walking off to the barn. Jay then sees a note from his father in the kitchen to Sharon apologizing for what he's done in their time together, and then Jay, realizing what Bear's words mean, sprints to the barn to find Bear having an absolutely great time and enjoying life to the fullest. Yup, nothing bad happening here, folks. Just two guys having a good time playing with some rope is all. Don't mind the blurred screen, just some good old father-son bonding, and certainly not something that would get me demonetized. No siree. Sadly though, all good things must come to an end, and unfortunately Bear managed to have a bit too much fun and got a pretty bad rope burn, but luckily Jay was there to call an ambulance, so he'll definitely be totally fine. With that said, the mobster from the hole stopped by a few days later and told us that the debt that Bear owes is still due, but since Jay saved him, the Holt family has a few more weeks to pay it off. With no other means of obtaining the money, the Holt family decides to rob Dante as a means of paying off their father's debt. We then return to the present where Vince and Jay are sneaking their way to the Holt boys' truck to find Dante's black book. After doing some parkour, we make our way to the truck and find the black book, find out that the book outlines bribes that Dante has taken, and then Jay suddenly decides that of all times, this is a great time to start venting to a stranger.
It's just so messed up.
You're not messed up.
You're part of the problem.
Yeah, you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem.
No, you're not messed
Why
up.
don't we just RNG it? This one sounds like fun. Oh shit. Yeah, okay. Let's RNG. We're going in.
Kyle, no.
Kyle lost all of
Sorry, bud. Why, hello there. If you've made it to this point in the video and are enjoying it, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing while hitting that notification bell. That last part is very important because apparently only 0.4% of my subscribers watch my content and only 0.8% of them have the bell turned on. How does it even get that low? I have no idea. With that said, thank you, and now back to the story. After playing therapist for Jay, we go back to the lobby and see a conversation between Jim and Paul where Paul recognizes Jim from Sharon's bar 15 to 20 years ago, to which Jim quickly tells him to shut his trap. However, this further adds to the mystery of why Jim would frequent this town that's in the middle of nowhere, especially right when he disappeared from Vince's life. After handing Sharon the black book, she calls Dante and immediately throws Vince under the bus for being a double agent, just proving that whether it's family, the police, or random folks in the streets, Vince can't trust anyone. Threatening to expose his book to the media if he doesn't send the bus immediately, Dante obliges to Sharon's commands. At this point, it's Michelle's turn to play the game of inappropriate venting as she asks us whether or not the relationship between her and Vince is over. Knowing this is not the time nor the place, we vote to lead her on just in case we get trapped in a fire and she needs to rescue us. Moments later, the bus arrives on scene. As the Holts are preparing the hostages for transportation, the bus driver forgets this is a parking lot and rams it into the motel at full speed. Luckily, Vince is already stretched out from his previous parkour session and is able to jump out of the way of the bus while police enter the building for yet another shootout. Vince cries out for deadbeat Jim and soon-to-be ex-wife Michelle to find him on the staircase and her under some debris, her lack of parkour skills solidifying our need to find a new wife in that very moment. During a brief ceasefire, Vince runs over to save Michelle as she is the primary breadwinner in the family and he needs that dank alimony. However, Sharon, the crazy twit, throws a Molotov at the police and sets the building on fire because she clearly thinks there's not enough spice in the situation already. As the building's being consumed by flames, Vince escorts Jim and Michelle up the stairs and gets them out the window while giving Michelle a kiss on the way out that tasted oddly like Bruce. Out of nowhere, the floor under Vince gives out and he has to channel his inner parkour skills once more. It appears that while Michelle was getting it on with Bruce, Vince was getting his body into peak physical condition. With no other option, Vince jumps out the bathroom window and into the main courtyard of the motel where he's confronted by Dante. Dante then questions why we betrayed him and asks us a very simple question.
Could bring down a lot of people, myself included. So I gotta ask.
Is this gonna be a life or death situation, or are we actually gonna fight for the gun?
No,
Yeah, no, fuck that.
I'm not telling this cop about anything.
Yeah, no way.
What? Ben override. Ben override. Ben override.
Yeah, no. Okay, you know what? I respect
Why
it.
would you
I
tell him?
respect
Yeah.
it.
Oh, let's see, boys.
Okay, you know what? You know.
Yeah, here we go.
Or maybe.
Because I am nothing but a truther, Dante decides he needs to kill us to prevent us from telling the world about the book. However, we run into a nearby bathroom and proceed to electrocute him in a toilet. Just when we think we're in the clear, we hear our daughter Zoe screaming for help in the courtyard. Upon finding Zoe, the second boss appears in the form of the Holtz, who tell Vince they are taking her as a hostage to ensure they have the highest chances of making it to the border, since cops won't likely shoot at them with her in the vehicle. Just when we think we have the advantage, our therapy client Jay emerges from the shadows with a gun to the back of our head, telling us to drop the weapon. However, knowing the kindness in Jay's heart, we refuse his demand, not once, but twice, because we know there's no way Jay would do this. Jay isn't like the rest of the Holtz. He's just a kid caught up in a bad situation, and he doesn't want to see anyone get hurt, let alone by his own hand, because he's the kind of guy. Son of a bitch, he shot us! Turns out, we don't know Jay as well as we thought, and he was clearly holding a grudge from us not warning him about the cops breaching earlier. With that said, as Vince is doing his best Peter Griffin impersonation, the Holtz flee the scene with Zoe in tow just as the FBI arrive at the motel. During their incognito escape, the cops manage to track down the Holtz and a pursuit begins in the desert. Seeing a train coming, Jay does a 180 and waits until the train arrives, then proceeds to jump over the tracks in reverse like a 1980s action movie. Eventually, the Holtz manage to evade the cops in a nearby forest, and then after things calm down, Sharon and Tyler strategize outside the car while we fight the urge to let Zoe go free. She's safer here. Where's she gonna go, dude?
Where's she gonna go? She's 6 years old.
Don't fucking play this game, Kyle. Oh, Ben, you and I both wasted that shit. That's fine.
Those woods are too dangerous. But don't worry, you're safe here with me, okay?
Yeah, Kyle.
We're heading for the cabin. We'll be safe
There
about
are
it.
very few
Let's hit the
bears.
highway before that chopper circles back.
Despite Kyle's attempt to abandon a child in the wilderness, we once again shut him down and decide to keep Zoe with us to ensure her safety. However, shortly after we hit the road for Bear's secret cabin in the woods, we immediately crash our car trying to avoid a bobcat. Oh, maybe she would have been safer on the road.
Ooh, we gotta keep her in the car. She's safer in the car.
Following the accident, Jay wakes up to an overturned vehicle with Zoe in the back seat. After managing to get both him and Zoe out of the vehicle, he calls for his mom and brother but quickly realizes they had both fled the scene. Jay then tries to comfort Zoe, but she immediately brings up old baggage and reminds Jay that he in fact shot her dad. Hearing the cops in the distance, we decide to move Zoe out of the middle of the road so that she doesn't get run over and hide under the bridge. The cops then arrive on scene, rescue Zoe, and then somehow don't find Jay. He eventually manages to stumble his way through the woods to a nearby house before passing out. 3 hours later, Jay wakes up to Vanessa, a delinquent pot smoker around his age, offering him some water. Due to the fact that Jay has had some hard times up until this point, we immediately decide to set our sights on Vanessa as his love interest because if anyone deserves something good happening to them, it's Jay. After poorly explaining how we ended up in the woods, Vanessa realizes they both went to the same high school and asks for our name. We proceed to tell her it's Dean, and after seeing a cop outside, we ask if we can stay a little while longer to rest. Vanessa lets us stay but tells us that we have to leave by 8, otherwise her dad will kill us both, which at this point in the story we're starting to believe she might mean literally. Vanessa then gives Jay some of her dead brother's clothing to change into as his were all bloodied.
See? Much better.
Dude. No way.
No, Kate, it's
I'll be right
1998.
there.
This was
What
cool.
was that?
Okay,
It's
okay,
just my
fair
email.
enough.
With our new drip, we're then forced into role-playing as Vanessa's dead brother to fool her Mima, who is not only blind, but suffering severe dementia. After fooling Mima, she goes to listen to her favorite TV show in the other room, and Vanessa explains to Jay what happened to her brother.
My brother. He died in a car accident.
That sucks.
What happened?
What happened? Yeah, what happened in the car accident?
No, I will fuck it.
Does he just say that sucked? Oh, okay,
sucks.
damn it.
I'm
I
sorry.
thought. Oh, fuck.
I've had time to get used
Man,
to
you
it.
guys want to ask Tom? You never want to ask. Important question.
Ask the hard-hitting question.
Dude, we switch it up every time. I just want to
What?
think
He died in a car accident. What happened? Having solved what happened to her brother, Vanessa and Jay continue to open up to one another until Jay eventually helps her study for an upcoming test. During their time together, Vanessa gives us a pretty good idea of how much she hates her father Jason, who then coincidentally comes home early and walks in on Jay and Vanessa. Fearing his wrath, we tell Vanessa's dad that we are study partners. However, he doesn't exactly believe us and asks us for the name of the school we go to, which we immediately fail because we spent the last 10 minutes trying to figure out how to get with Vanessa rather than listening to Vanessa. Her father quickly corrects us after we say the wrong name and then asks us if we're the ones selling his daughter the devil's lettuce, to which Vanessa denies. We then try to leave to avoid any further issue, but Vanessa's dad proceeds to pull out his blicky because, again, why wouldn't he? It's America, and then tells us we aren't going anywhere. After interrogating us briefly, Mima calls Jason to the other room, and while he's gone, Jay contemplates leaving, to which Vanessa warns him that it would only make things worse, and then she too leaves to help Mima find her audiobook. Clearly, the answer at this point was to stay and play it cool, especially if we're trying to get on Vanessa's good side. Unfortunately, my dim-witted friends decided to ignore this obvious setup and attempted to leave the first moment they could. I want to say, I want to say goodbye though.
No, we're fucking getting. Dude, we're literally ruining her life. We're a fucking.
I thought I
mass
told you to
criminal.
stay put.
Yeah, see?
Oh my fucking
It's never that easy.
It's never this easy.
Oh,
We're
dude,
almost
God,
dead.
sir. I don't gotta do what you say.
Under my roof, you do, smart aleck.
Dad, have you checked her?
Fuck
going
guys,
on?
I told you.
Your study partner was sneaking out.
Guys.
Gonna say goodbye?
Fucking god, dude, I fucking hate this.
Well,
game. It's so.
You guys fucking gotta use your heads! Come on! We're 3 chapters in! And just after we anger Jason and disappointed Vanessa, Jason realizes that we are wearing his son's clothing, making this situation even more awkward.
Okay, fuck it.
We were naked.
No, guys.
Come on, we were naked.
No.
No.
Man, no.
I'm not helping.
Yeah.
Dean!
That was the wrong choice.
Yeah, we're out. Peace.
At this point, it was clear our chances with Vanessa were pretty low, but none of that mattered so long as Jay was safe. Fast forward a couple hours, we soon see Jay at his dad's cabin, and we find Sharon and Tyler plotting their next move. After a quick embrace, Tyler tells us their plan is to escape to Canada and use one of Dante's offshore accounts to fund their future lives. Or at least that's what he wants us to believe, because later that night, Jay overhears Tyler's true plan, which is to abandon Jay and have both him and Sharon bike to Texas and cross into Mexico. Once Tyler realizes we heard everything, we tell him that we wouldn't want to go with him anyways, because what kind of guy would abandon their own brother? Tyler then drops a bomb on us and we learn that Jay was actually adopted, which was news to both us and Jay. Jay then asks Sharon what Tyler means, and she confesses that he is adopted, but it doesn't matter as he was raised as their own, to which we agree. Unfortunately, Tyler talks some shit and says that they babysat him rather than treating him like family, so naturally, we responded with violence. After decisively winning the opening round, we take the gun and go into the woods, but Tyler follows us with another gun, as everyone knows there are 1.2 guns per person in the United States. In his pursuit of Jay, Tyler begins trying to sweet talk us, but at this point Jay is tired of people's shit, and we fire a warning shot at Tyler as we cowardly hide behind a tree. Unfortunately, this completely gave away our position, and Tyler quickly came up from behind and tried to disarm us. Once we throw him on the ground and win round 2 by a decisive 10-8, we scurry up a tree like a bear and Tyler decides to pursue. Tyler then loses his grip and begs us to help him since his leg can't handle the fall. So, like the little brother we are, we stomp on his fingers, watch him fall, and abandon him in the woods instead. 3 days later, we find Jay on Route 89 making his way into a bar called the Oasis, where we attempt to assert our dominance by staring down the patrons of the bar. Unfortunately, they just think we're a weirdo, and when we ask for a ride north, they tell us to talk to a guy in the back playing darts. When the guy asks us who we are running from, we are honest and tell him we're wanted by the Popo. Although he says no, we challenge him to a game of darts for a ride and then proceed to beat his ass. Just as the guy starts accusing us of hustling him, a cop walks into the bar and Jay hides in the back. Luckily for us, the patrons of the bar don't rat us out and let us escape because they also abide by the don't trust cops mantra, or because our earlier intimidation tactics worked. Either way, we were safe for the moment. Once the cop left, the trucker from earlier came out and asked us whether we actually killed those cops, and we answered honestly and said no, since it wasn't really us who did it, but rather Tyler and Dale. Sadly, the trucker apparently only drives with murderers because after we told him this, he decides to not give us a ride. However, everything works out as we hide in the trailer of another truck instead and arrive in Salt Lake City, Utah the next day. As someone on the run from the FBI and making national headlines, we knew we had to be tactful and avoid our face being seen. So the first thing we do is walk into the open downtown, call our potential love interest, Vanessa, and ask her for some money. We proceed to tell her our exact location, and not only does she pay for a hotel room using her dad's credit card, but she promises to come meet up with us in Salt Lake City shortly thereafter. We're then transported to the lovely Paradise Found trailer park, where we find Paul, the mechanic from the motel, arriving home to his cat Marlin. Paul notices Marlin seems a bit off though and follows his meows with a roller in hand to his bedroom to find Sharon hiding out in his bed. Turns out the bike her and Tyler took to Texas blew a tire within the first mile, and as a result she lost Tyler. Ever since, she's been scrambling for a place to rest and managed to get to Paul's place to lay low. Hearing this, Paul tells her to get dressed and to go away as he wants nothing to do with her. Or so he says, until he low-key admits to her that he loved her and she begins to completely manipulate him to help her out.
Sharon, back then, everyone loved you.
You once told me I always choose the
And you
wrong
loved
way.
everyone.
Well, I was young and stupid enough to think you'd listen.
And I was young and stupid enough to think I knew better.
No, we're not. Guys, we're not playing the
Should've been
fucking
with you from the
20th rebound. I'm not doing this.
Yeah, we're simping.
No, we're not.
We're simping.
We're simping.
No,
Simping.
I can't. I can't. Guys, please, just
Okay,
no.
we're simping.
Oh, whoops. Okay, nice work, Ben. I also overrid it, but Ben overrid
Been
my
telling
override.
myself the same
We're
thing
gonna
for
say
20
we're gonna.
years.
We're gonna.
Never thought you'd say it though.
This is gonna be the worst ending, but
Always
fuck
been a
it.
good friend.
We're simping.
Guys, he's being so used,
No one
dude.
else to turn to.
We're simping.
You were the one who stepped up.
Now, wait a minute.
Buying the bathwater.
If you're
Let's go.
talking about...
Yeah,
You
buying the
knew we were
bathwater.
sinking.
I'm buying her
But coming up
OnlyFans
with the
feet
code to
pics. Oh,
Dante's
I'll buy
safe,
any of them. I'm ready to
that
go.
was-
Despite my best efforts, my colleagues decided the simp train was the only route for us, and after Sharon told Paul about Dante's offshore bank accounts with tons of money, there was nothing I could do to save Paul from the obvious trap that is Sharon.
Then
By the
you
sheriff.
exposed Dante for what he is. Karma. Payback. Call it what you like. And by the time his world crumbles, we'll be long gone.
Sounds exactly like the job
Look,
for cheap
you
simp.
said it yourself. We should have been together from the start.
No, you guys
I'm
played
saying-
into her so
Oh
much.
yes, buying her
You guys
OnlyFans.
played into
I'm
her so much.
Drink yourself into oblivion.
That's the point, Luke. We're just taking this route. It's happening, and you're gonna have to witness.
We disappeared. We'll
Oh,
never be
we
able to see Jay
simping.
again.
That doesn't mean
This
I
is
can't
all.
help him.
This is like
At
the
some point.
most simp
find
maneuver.
a
You rob a bank,
You
give
threw
all the
me a
money
lifeline
to your
once.
e-girl. I love it.
Come with me.
Yes, we're going with her. I'm gonna kiss her. Let's go. Yes.
Oh yes, look at this
Yeah.
hand.
Oh, dude. See, easy.
Expecting anyone?
No.
Hey, cuz, it's me. Open up.
Shit. It's Dante.
Fortunately, before Sharon could seduce Paul further, Dante arrives at Paul's trailer, causing Sharon to hide in the bathroom and forcing us to scramble and hide all the evidence of her being there. After some awkward conversation and pretending like Dante didn't cause the deaths of several people, Dante starts talking smack about Sharon, causing her to pounce with scissors in hand, and we opt not to warn Dante because we're still in simp mode. When given the opportunity to choose between Dante and Sharon, we hope and pray for a third option to avoid helping either of them, but sadly it never comes and we reluctantly agree to help Sharon. Paul then quickly grabs the truck keys and more importantly the cat, and with Sharon at his side, they peel out of the trailer park almost hitting Dante, never to be seen again. We then return to Jay in Salt Lake City, who still hasn't found a change of clothes. Luckily for him though, Vanessa doesn't have a sense of smell from all the chronic marijuana smoking, so she doesn't say anything when she finally arrives. Since we are still trying to get Jay with Vanessa, we instantly play the woe is me card and get her feeling sad for us. But just as we get started, Vanessa's dad begins pounding on the door because Vanessa isn't the brightest and didn't realize paying for a hotel with her dad's credit card was easily traceable. As Jay hides on the window ledge, Vanessa and her dad have a heated conversation about hanging out with perceived drug dealer Dean. When Vanessa asks to use the bathroom, she instead jumps out the window and her and Jay race down the escape ladder, hotwire a car, and manage to flee. Unfortunately for Jay, Vanessa's dad sees a newspaper with his face on it, escalating Jay's threat level from petty drug dealer to murderer and resulting in him calling the cops. On the road, Jay and Vanessa decide to visit a guy named Todd in Idaho Falls to get some money and a fake ID to help Jay get into Canada. Just when Vanessa seems to be hitting all the boxes, she litters by throwing her scarf out of the moving vehicle, bringing her rating down from a 9 to a 4 out of 10. She then proceeds to smoke a ciggy, which then brings her rating down to a solid 2 at best. Once we arrive in Idaho Falls, we find Todd is hosting an absolute rager of a house party. Although Jay finally has new hip clothes, he sticks out like a sore thumb because his idea of a party is watching his dad drink beers on a Saturday night. To help us take the edge off, we take a magical pill offered by a partygoer because the year is 1998 and the Sackler family had only just begun the opioid crisis meta, so we were fairly certain it was safe to do. As we're tripping out and experiencing new things, Vanessa tells us that she feels as light as a feather and touches our arm. She then asks us to do the same thing to her, and we oblige, to a certain degree.
Oh, hold on.
Neck.
Oh, what are we...
Lips. Oh, lips, 100%.
Are we going all in? Let's go all in.
Want to? Jesus.
Wait, shouldn't we have started? Oh, wait. Actually, no, that's a very... Oh, there you go.
Yeah, she's weirded out.
She's like,
I'm gonna use the bathroom. Anywhere.
I'm going to go fuck Todd now. Be right back.
Once again, we failed the mission of seducing Vanessa, but we luckily had another chance at redemption shortly after when we found Vanessa in a room with Todd. We see her sitting on the bed with him, but instead of barging in, we let them talk because we respect boundaries. Todd eventually notices us and Vanessa tells us not to worry and to let them be for a bit. However, Todd rubs it in and insinuates that Vanessa wants him and not us.
Turn around.
Hit him.
Should we just leave?
Nah, leave him. Leave him.
Did we want Jay to...
Kyle, I'll override you. Don't do it.
Don't you do it, bitch. Oh my god.
I knew you wait for the timer. I saw the timer going down.
I'll be at the car.
Despite Kyle's desire for violence still remaining strong 6 hours into the game, we leave for the car like the mature and respectful adult we are and patiently wait for Vanessa's return. When she eventually comes out, she's upset that we interrupted her and Todd's conversation and tells us Todd didn't help us but that she did manage to steal some money. Vanessa then confesses that her and Todd used to date back in the day, but she didn't tell us for some unknown reason. Jay then shows his cards too early and asks whether they did anything in the bedroom, to which Vanessa asks whether we're jealous. Because we are emotionally intelligent for our age, we tell her yes we are, and it gets us some brownie points for being honest. However, all those brownie points are thrown away almost immediately when she tells us that Todd wanted some Gok 3000 in exchange for a fake ID, and we decide to take exception.
Teach him lesson, fuck it.
Dude, we wanted fugitive.
No way. You guys wanted to walk away earlier, and now you're like, now we're gonna hit him.
Yeah, because there's no point in punching the guy when he did nothing other than talk to the girl.
Oh my god.
Now the plot twist.
For the upteenth time, a fight ensues, and despite Todd being powered by the American flag, we ended up putting up a good fight and showing him who's boss. Just when it was a perfect time to leave, however, the path of chaos was instead chosen by my friends.
Oh.
No, okay, no. We're not doing this. There's fighting and there's...
Guess what? She was mine first!
Mine first! No. No! This is gonna back up. This is gonna fuck us up so badly, dude.
Chose this, Luke. I wanted to walk away.
Fighting him and committing murder is different. Surprisingly, after choosing the attempted murder option, Vanessa was not happy with us, even after we told her we did it for her.
Yeah. Oh my god, you're like, oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe what we got to do a fight. Bad decision.
You could have killed him.
That's what I'm saying! Just for you.
Okay. All right.
Oh.
That's my bad. That's right. We should go that one.
I didn't ask you to. I don't need you sending people to the hospital.
There was a limit, dude. There's a limit. You guys fucked the limit up, dude.
Oh, I know. I just wanted
Get
to
upset
do
if you knew I'd
it.
gone out with him.
Oh, the limit was to just walk away.
No, she wants you to fucking defend her honor, but not to the point where you fucking sit. Yes, she did.
Somewhere to sleep.
Yes, she did.
Cops come.
He did not.
Her issue was that we sent him to a hospital.
We're done.
Fuck you guys. You guys fucked it up.
No, fuck
You guys,
you, Luke.
you guys fucked it up.
You fucked it.
You guys always fuck it up, dude. We have a goal. Stick pod. Fuck the cops. You guys fucking let the guy get a shot. We have a goal. Get with her. Simp for her. Let's send the guy to a hospital. Why? You always fucked it up.
We went full tough guy, and I'm not regretting it.
Oh.
Kyle broke the glass yesterday. I'm breaking the glass today. Luke, you know what you gotta do in the finale when we finish this up. You're breaking the glass too.
I'm gonna find somewhere to camp. Don't follow me.
She fucking hates us.
Oh, I know. She already said we're done like a while ago.
And at our makeshift camp, Vanessa, who's still angry and untrusting of us now, begins to question us further.
That house you robbed? Was that all it was? A burglary?
I'm clean.
I'm clean. At this point, you have to. Fucking.
Boys, we simping.
No, you can't say that.
Look.
You can't say that after bottling someone in the head.
Yeah, no, we made an impulsive decision and we're back to simping. It's fine.
As the world's worst simper, we proceed to tell Vanessa everything, including our real name, whose house we robbed, and what occurred at the motel. Eventually, we have a chance to part ways, and as the old saying goes, if you truly love something, you need to let it go.
I want you here.
Dude, no
It's best
way,
if you
man.
go straight up. At this point, dude.
No,
fucking
I
let her-
want you
let-
here. We're simping.
No, it's not sipping. Sipping is letting her go.
Please don't leave.
Haha, just kidding. Why would we care about Vanessa's safety at this point? We instead apologize, told her she's a great person, and fall just short of confessing our love for her. She seemingly accepts our apology, but makes us promise not to hurt anyone like we hurt Todd ever again, to which we swear, but jokes on her, we had our fingers crossed the entire time. Jay and Vanessa then talk about sweet nothings as night falls, and the next day we see them nearing Glacier National Park with new license plates. While driving on the windy roads, Jay and Vanessa hit a checkpoint and panic sits in for our protagonist.
Okay. Don't
Alright
stress.
boys, we got this, we got
Figure
this.
this out.
Easy, easy.
Holy fuck, we're going to jail forever.
We're
Everyone calm down, alright? Calm the fuck down, we got this. The cop starts off by asking us where we're coming from, to which we calmly tell him we're coming from Salt Lake City as we have nothing to hide. He then follows up with a doozy, however, and asks us for our license, which we obviously do not have, nor would we give it if we did. We pretend to look through our glove box, and when we don't have anything to show, the officer goes and runs the plates, and we have to decide between peeling out of there or waiting for him to do the check. After overriding Kyle for the 15th time this playthrough, we opt against a high-speed pursuit, and luckily the cop is unable to check our license plate due to technical difficulties. He instead lets us off with a warning, and we casually leave. Once we arrive in Glacier National Park, Jay and Vanessa pull up to a trailhead that conveniently labels a trail to the Canadian border, for some reason. They then trek the trail towards the border, being cutesy and helping each other along the way. Midway through their adventure, Vanessa asks Jay how he's not exhausted from the hike, which sparks some resentment from Kyle.
How do you do it?
You work out more than once a month?
Experience. Like, literally lived in the woods. I went hunting.
Oh, I'm just a Chad.
I'm going with spirits. This is what you use yours for? Fucking A.
I don't think about it.
I get
Besides,
overridden on
it's not like I
everything
got
else.
home to go
Anytime
back
I
to.
try to
You know
get
what?
override you guys are like, no.
I'm getting a second wind.
You deserve it.
It literally doesn't matter. My overrides are meaningless.
As the sun begins to set, Jay and Vanessa look at the scenery and take some time to relax because why not? It's not like he's a wanted fugitive or anything. To their surprise, however, man-tracker Jason Dorland appears from the woods behind them, still sporting his suit, oddly enough. He confronts Vanessa asking whether she knows who Jay is and what he's done, to which Vanessa says she knows everything and does not care, and Jay also chimes in saying they've got it all wrong. After Vanessa's dad fails to convince her to come home with him, the FBI emerges from the woods, explaining to us that the cop at the checkpoint alerted the Bureau to their location. Following their very strict policy of shoot first and ask questions later, Jay and Vanessa are forced to run as agents close in on them. They briefly find a hiding spot, and once they see Vanessa's dad alone, who also for some reason is armed, Jay disarms him and the two run up the cliffside and go to the edge of a cliff with rushing water below. Vanessa's dad then pleads with her, begging her not to jump. He says that he is sorry, that he knows he screwed up, and he's only been worse ever since her mom passed away. Unfortunately for him though, Vanessa quickly Uno reverses it on him and asks when's the last time he told her that he loved her. Spoiler alert, it was never, and his attempt to sway her fails. Vanessa then looks to Jay, and we have a very important decision to make, to jump with or without Vanessa.
Let's go, jump together! Luke, don't be a bitch, come on!
I don't want to!
1, 3. Sim.
1,
Wait. Dad,
Yeah, honey?
I love you.
tell Mima there's an extra pack of cigarettes under the sink.
No. Vanessa, don't! No!
And we both died.
Yeah, belly flop.
To be fair, with her athleticism, man, I don't know, man. She's probably dead. 14 years later, we catch up with Zoe, who's now a student in university, at the bottom of a pool trying to suppress the memories still traumatizing her from what happened at the Desert Dream Motel. Our supposed friend May tries to help us, but we quickly realize she's a Jehovah's Witness, and we immediately cut her out of her life. We also notice a mysterious figure staring at us in the background, but minor details. Later that evening, Zoe is on the phone with her dad Vince, who tells her all about his new plane, suggesting that he stuck it to his old airline employer and got back into the aviation industry. We then drop a bomb on Vince and tell him that we are planning on dropping out of school, which is received with mixed reaction, and as soon as Michelle tries to talk to Zoe about it, we hang up on her like she rightfully deserves. Zoe then goes to sleep, and we get to see firsthand how much trauma she has from that dreaded day 14 years prior, as she imagines the bus bursting through her 4th-story apartment window. When she wakes up, she hears footsteps and sees the mysterious figure walk by her apartment window. As she peeks outside to see if anyone's there, she ends up calling a special someone.
Lock the door.
Jim's still alive?
Jim's still alive!
What?
Jimbo! It's Jim! Jim's stalking her!
Somehow, despite all odds, our prayers were not answered and Jim was still alive after all this time. Even more miraculously, when Zoe goes to his apartment to deal with a quarrel Jim was having with his building manager, we see that his dog Zeus is somehow still alive. Apparently, Father Time doesn't affect either of them. Jim then explains the situation to Zoe and asserts that someone was waiting in the shadows, busted his door down, and stole his wallet. However, the manager claims that Jim just misplaced his wallet and broke the door down because of his dementia, and tells him he needs to pay for the damages before leaving. Zoe then finds Jim's wallet, and when she presses him about whether he actually broke the door himself, he admits that he honestly does not know and that his symptoms are getting worse. When Jim says Zoe must think he's crazy, she refutes it and tells him that she thinks someone is following her too, but that she doesn't know if it's real or if she's just losing her mind. Jim then tells Zoe that although she went through a lot as a kid, he doesn't think she's crazy because how could they both be imagining the same thing? Just as Jim starts thinking aloud, Zeus begins barking, which alerts Zoe to a cloaked figure down on the street, and she decides to give chase. In a chase scene that features glimpses of Jay from her past and Vince-esque parkour to avoid getting hit by a car, Zoe tracks down the mysterious figure to find a random lady instead of Jay. Upon her return to Jim's place, she cries in her grandpa's arms and he tells her that she needs to face her past rather than trying to forget it. She then returns to her place, opens up a shoebox in her room, and reveals letters that Jay had sent her in the months prior. Some weeks later, we catch up with Zoe on a bus in good old Canada. She gets dropped off in Jasper National Park and proceeds up a trail to find a cabin in the woods with a dog. We then see Old Man Jay in the distance walking towards her, and Zoe holds pepper spray behind her just in case Jay tries to shoot her like he did her father. Once Jay realizes it's Zoe, he understandably asks how she, a 20-year-old, was able to track him down but the FBI somehow can't. After explaining that it was just his P.O. box and a loose-lipped resident in town, Jay invites Zoe to his patio and tells her that she won't be needing the pepper spray as gun ownership per capita is significantly lower in Canada. During their conversation, Zoe literally asked Jay everything, but the most important question was obviously what happened to our wifey Vanessa. Jay tells us that they both survived the jump, but after 6 years, she returned to California as she missed her normal life. After telling us about how he got his scar and Tyler being on death row, Jay cuts the crap and asks us why we came all the way to Canada. Zoe proceeds to open up about how she keeps seeing his face and that she cannot move on. Acting like her pseudo-therapist, Jay relates and says he also can't move on, which is why he started to write to her earlier this year. Jay then says to Zoe that she must hate him, to which we definitely all agree on telling him we don't, since he looked after us during the ordeal. When he asks us how we can be so kind, we give him the obvious answer.
Hate destroys us because you're kind. I have
Hate,
support.
hate destroys us because
the best one.
Are we like a fucking Jedi Master Chief? Oh, don't let the hate flow through you.
my dad forgave my mom fucking a guy named Bruce. I can forgive you for shooting my dad in the kneecap. After telling Jay he isn't broken, Jay asks Zoe if she would like to stay for dinner, which generated some mixed reactions.
I was gonna make dinner soon. Do you want some?
Jay.
Dude, we're not fucking Jay.
No,
We're not.
No.
And it's beautiful.
No, you guys chose this. If we can fuck, we gotta fuck.
They're so good braised. Show you how if you like.
Dude, he's 12 years older than us.
Yeah, but you know, love.
In my head canon, they fucked.
Much to Kyle's dismay, nothing rated 18 plus occurred, and as Zoe is on the bus back to town, we begin to see what happened to the other characters of our story. We see Vince proudly smiling at his business logo with his should-be ex-wife Michelle, Tyler upset on death row after his appeal was rejected, Sharon and Paul relaxing on a beach in Cuba, and Bear mourning the death of Dale at his grave. Zoe then checks a voicemail from Grandpa Jim, who casually mentions he purposely asked for the scenic route on that dreadful day 14 years ago. He continues and says he believes everything that happened on that day was because of him, but we never hear him explain why. As Zoe walks to his apartment after getting back to town, we hear Jim pleading for his life down the hall, where he mentions that something is hidden in Turok, and then a gunshot goes off, reaffirming that we are indeed back in America. We then see the stalker that Zoe thought she imagined all this time sprinting out of the room past her. Zoe rushes into the kitchen where the gunshot was fired, and we see her horrified expression before the screen turns black and setting up a much desired sequel. And with that, our story is finally over. Again, big shout out to developer Interior Night, as I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of this game. And if you did like this video or are interested in seeing more content from me, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing with that little notification bell, as well as following my socials. And as always, goodbye, Godspeed, and good night.